Two-tiered voting system has some people upset, and it could mean you may not be able to vote in state elections. By the time the material reaches this point, it's already been sorted into smaller material. Our investigation in October found that at least 90 abused and neglected children had either died or nearly died in the past 4 years. Now, Y isn't the only unusual name in the state. You can also find Santa Claus, Snowflake. Once you put your belongings on the back of that truck, you could be losing your furniture, your electronics, and your money. The clerk chased the robber out with his baseball bat, leaving the robber empty-handed as he escaped. While the runners built up a thirst this morning, the real purpose was for a greater need. The committee will listen to community ideas on how they can better protect children from abuse and neglect.
Investigative reporter Amanda Lane looked into the cost of cleanup and joins us live.
Smugglers and drug traffickers are costing taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars in trash removal. We rode along with federal agents who not only are charged with keeping our borders safe, but also clean. Abandoned backpacks and boots, toilet paper and trash. Not what you would expect to see in a national monument.
A lot of clothes. We found a lot of people's wallets, personal identifications.
Just south of Interstate 8, 80 miles north of the border, there's a problem.
The trash comes from human beings, and the human beings, to a large extent, are coming across the border illegally. They're either coming as immigrants or they're coming as smugglers.
A problem costing taxpayers $240,000 every year to clean up. And that's just through the Bureau of Land Management.
In fiscal year 2012, we removed 150 tons of trash.
Clothes, blankets, bikes, and even vehicles make up much of the trash that's left out here in the Sonoran Desert National Monument. Last year, 135 bikes and 30 vehicles were removed from the area. And 90% of this trash is directly from smuggling.
This is what we call a layup site, where they're unpacking the dope and getting it ready for transport. A vehicle will come up along the interstate, honk their horn, and then these people will help load the drugs into the vehicle, and then they're gone. It usually happens within 30 seconds.
Smuggling requires a network of people, from vehicle drivers to scouts. This layup we found is just a mile hike off of Interstate 8 and has many luxuries you wouldn't expect people to bring to the desert. Scouts use points like this to look for law enforcement in the area and communicate with smugglers. But they leave behind more than just disposable trash.
This is a live ammunition. It's a .45 caliber round that was found on the ground right here at the fence.
We have found anything from AK-47s to magazine clips associated with that weapon. We have found human remains.
The amount of trash isn't the only thing concerning the Bureau of Land Management. Authorities say smugglers and human traffic are destroying ancient artifacts.
It's a shard that is anywhere from 800 to 1,000 years old, and that's what's referred to as a pottery shard. And the use of ATVs through a national monument means land dedicated to wilderness is now becoming a self-made highway.
We rehab the smuggling routes, anything that's associated with those impacts.
22 miles of roads were restored last year to natural condition, and a barricade of iron 1.3 miles long has been constructed on the south end of the monument to prevent smugglers from using motorized vehicles. The Bureau of Land Management also initiated Operation Roam in 2010.
Operation Roam stands for Reclaim Our Arizona Monuments.
7 two-week periods are scattered throughout the year for specific law enforcement surges, bringing together many agencies and rangers from around the country.
I consider this place an outdoor museum, and so any place that has the spectacular resources that this has needs protection.
This ongoing problem is just one of dozens of issues in the debate over border security as a whole, ranging from drug smuggling to illegal immigration. As for any talk of immigration reform at the border, Congress has already delayed action until next year. Live in the Broadcast Center, Amanda Lane, Cronkite News. This cemetery is the final resting place for 22-month-old Zanaya Flores, who last year starved to death. One of dozens of babies that died after being abused or neglected in Arizona in the last 4 years.
That's our most vulnerable population.
Gregory McKay, head of child welfare investigations with the Department of Economic Security, says the youngest children are at the highest risk of abuse and neglect.
The children 0 through 5 represent 83% of all child fatalities and about 50% of all felony child abuse are children in that age range.
Our investigation shows that since 2009, there have been 178 cases of children under the age of 2 years old who died or nearly died at the hands of their parent or caregiver. Of these, 94 resulted in death. The warning signs for some of them seem too serious to have been forgotten. At the time of Zaniah's birth, her mother, Kiana Higgins, was in custody, accused of criminal damage and driving under the influence. CPS records show that she was also being held for felony child abuse charges. 2 years later, Zaniah fell victim to missed opportunities. Zaniah suffered seizures from lack of nutrition and died. Police records state she was extremely emaciated. Her brother was also found malnourished, dehydrated, and with physical injuries to his face, abdomen, and torso that he claimed to be from his mother and aunt.
What do you do to prevent child abuse? And the answer is complicated, because child abuse is complicated.
Prevent Child Abuse Arizona tries to keep children out of harmful situations and mentors parents from the time their children are born.
One of the most important things we can do for families in America and in Arizona today is to provide home visitation services.
Babies cry. Some cry a lot. So much you may
They also produce PSAs to remind parents that physical acts against their children should never occur.
It's okay. Whatever you do, never, ever shake a baby.
Maverick Riggin was 2 months old when he died after his father, Fade Riggin, admitted to shaking him repeatedly over the course of a month.
Well, historically, the physical evidence was a history of a confession of shaking, plus the retinal hemorrhages, plus the bleeding.
At 2 months old, Maverick could not defend himself.
And those are the children least likely to be able to talk about their abuse articulately, and are least likely seen by external eyes.
CPS denied our request for an on-camera interview, but sent this response, stating that they look at the totality of the case and all information that's available to assess the child safety and family situation. Prevent Child Abuse Arizona says they try to help parents with the resources they need before children are lost in preventable situations.
Those home visitors can deal with all kinds of issues. They help the family set financial goals. They help them figure out what's good childcare. They help them get into either a job or back into college. They can really change the outcome of their lives, and that's prevention.
For the investigative team, Amanda Lane, Cronkite News. Christmas comes a little early around Phoenix First Assembly of God. Through Santa's workshop and past the stacks of yet-to-be-opened bike boxes, you can find hundreds of volunteers that filled the campus Saturday morning to put together bikes. 5,000 of them. Over the past 3 decades, nearly 100,000 bikes have been given to the community for free. The bikes are given to the less fortunate children in the area that otherwise may not have any Christmas presents under their tree. World-renowned senior pastor Tommy Barnett says that the job of the church is not to stay in a religious bubble, but to reach out to those who need the love of God.
The church was built for this cause. If a church was just built to be blessed, it'd be a terrible thing. But we were built to be a blessing.
From 6 in the morning until noon, volunteers sacrificed their Saturday and built bike after bike with a little coffee and a free lunch to help keep them going.
So we got here at 5:45. It was dark out, we had a couple of lights out, and from there on we've just been building bikes.
Bikes are handed out on December 15th at 10 in the morning, and kids who otherwise wouldn't have a ride to receive their gift are bussed in. Bike Build is a yearly event that encourages the community to donate some of their time to make one child's Christmas a little brighter.
People want to do good if they know how. Someone just has to tell them how. Give them direction, and they'll do it.
I'm Amanda Lane reporting for Cronkite Newswatch.